YouTube, what's going on? It's Tijon, aka Top Cyberdog, and I'm back with another video for the channel. Now, if you've been following my technical blog on Medium, you're well aware that I want any and all the smoke with any kind of alert I can get my hands on the LetsDefend platform. And that's why we're here today. Last week, I was working on an alert that I was going to be posting about on my Medium blog, and I ran into an issue that I didn't see reported on anywhere else. So I thought, hey, this would be a good opportunity for me to reinvestigate and create a YouTube video on it, just for any other defenders out there that might run across the same issue if it still persists, and they want to walk away with the W and not the L. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to hop into the SOC environment, reinvestigate that same alert. I'm going to walk you through step by step what to do to make sure you understand what's going on and how to proceed with this investigation. Again, thank you to each and every one of you out there that have supported me thus far. For 2025, we're definitely going to be ramping up the videos and different alerts that we're going to be working on. And thank you for being along for the ride. So without further ado, we're going to hop over into the SOC and get right into it. All right, let's go. All right, you guys, so we're back in our SOC environment on LetsDefend. And as I mentioned before, I've already worked this alert that I'm making this video on, but I thought it'd be important because I ran into some weird issues, you can say, with the alert. So let's just get this documented just in case LetsDefend doesn't fix it. Somebody can come to this video and gain some kind of tips or tricks from it to get the W. So we're already in the main channel. Since I've already finished the alert, I've already booted it up for a reinvestigation. But if you were doing this for yourself, under closed alerts, find the alert you want to reinvestigate, and in the far right hand corner you can see that recycled circle arrow says reinvestigate. Click that. Once you confirm that you want to reinvestigate the alert, it should bring it back over to the investigation channel, and then that's when you can create a case. So since I already created a case for the reinvestigation, we can see, once we do that, we can start the playbook. But before we do that, let me show you actually what the alert entails. Okay, monitoring closed alerts, no, investigation channel. All right, so we can already see LetsDefend still reminds you that the alert is just a reinvestigation. But on December 12th, 2023 at 2:15 p.m., a source IP of 120.48.36.175 reached out to the destination IP of 104.26.15.61, and the host was a test web server, and it looks like the potential threat actor requested the URL of the test front end for our LetsDefend platform under accounts login. So it looks like they were potentially trying to gain access to various accounts on this server. And the request method was posts and device action permitted, meaning allowed. And the alert trigger reason was multiple post requests were soon seen from the same IP to the fixed URI accounts/login. All right, sounds like some kind of brute force attack. All right, and then showing the hint, check proxy logs. Okay, so like we do in all other investigations, go ahead and copy all of our event details into a separate Word document just to make it easy to cross-reference with any outside sources we might use for our investigation. All right, so if we go over to our case, we can see our playbook, start that playbook, and then we get that first play. Understand why the alert was triggered. Just mentioned earlier, the alert trigger reason, multiple post requests were seen being sent from that same IP address. So possibly a brute force attack on our web server. Next, collecting the data. As we already collected the data onto a separate Word document, we can use that for further analysis. So let's go ahead and do that now, actually, with the IP addresses. All right. So the source IP address, which could potentially be our threat actor. Let's go ahead and go over the virus total and paste in that 120.48.36.175 address. Right off the bat, we have a winner. Virus Total does not like this IP and currently under their platform has a bad reputation. 6 antivirus vendors have flagged it as malicious, and it is located in China. Last analysis date was 4 days ago, so it was recent. And then we can see right here, SSH brute force attackers. So this already points us in that direction for the threat actor using a brute force attack. But we do want to check other sources, so let's go ahead and copy this again and paste it over in Abuse IPDB to see if it's in their database. So we're going to run a search for that. And we can see that the IP is in their database as well. And we can see further details about the IP address, its usage type, city, location, and the domain name, which could be useful later when reporting. Okay. And just because I'm gonna run a search for the destination server IP address. Okay, that has a clean report. All right, now that we checked that, we can move on to the next play. Examine HTTP traffic. Check the traffic content for any suspicious conditions such as a web attack, payloads, SQL injection, command injection, etc. Examine all the fields in the HTTP request. Since the attackers do not only attack through the URL, all the data from the source must be examined to understand whether there is a real cyber attack. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and go over to our network logs and run a query for this 120 address just to see if it was communicating with any other devices in our network possibly, but also to see more details about the interactions in the network packets. Source address, run a query. Run the query, we can see we can have 22 events, so 3 pages. And already off the bat, we see on this first page, the threat actor only communicated to our web server endpoint. Okay. And just dropping this down, we can see user login successful. Firewall deny. Firewall deny. Post the URL that is in question. Username equals test. Password 12345. Yeah, this is definitely some kind of brute force. Guest, password 12345. Username, info, password 12345. And then we can see also that the attempts are right after another. So we see it up here 1108, 1109, 1110. MySQL for the username, password princess. This definitely is some kind of brute force attack, which is not good. So it's good that we observe that. So we can definitely conclude that this is some kind of brute force attack. Let's hit next. All right, is this traffic malicious? Based off of what we've gathered so far, this traffic is definitely malicious in my opinion. What type of attack? Command injection, EDOR, LFI, RFI, other, SQL injection, XML injection, cross-site scripting. This is brute force, so let's go ahead and select other. Check if this was a planned attack or planned test. Penetration tests or attack simulations products can trigger false positive alarms. If the rules are not set correctly, check whether the malicious traffic is the result of a planned test. So let's go ahead and go into our email security to see if we were possibly notified on some kind of penetration test or any kind of red team test. Normally for that, I like to just paste in one of the IP addresses, because if it's a legitimate penetration test, all that would be divulged in the email to our IT department. And we can see nothing so far with that 120 source IP address, which tells me that this possibly was a legitimate threat actor. I'm going to then run a search for the requested URL just to see if that's listed in anybody's email to the IT department. And we have nothing. Okay, so that is not good. So I think it's safe to say that this was not planned. What is the direction of traffic? As we already did analysis of the source IP address, which is coming from Beijing, China, we can definitely confirm that this is coming from the internet to our company network. And check whether the attack was successful. We can see based off of the alert, it was permitted. And off of the other alerts that the threat actor was interacting with that web server, that they were able to gain access to that test server. Was the attack successful? I would say yes. Containment. Now, if there's any kind of device that is compromised, we need to contain it. One thing that I ran across when I was doing this investigation the first time and doing an article for it on my Medium account, I couldn't find the endpoint. So let's go ahead and go over to endpoint security and search for the host. We'll hit enter. No matches found, which is very odd. The attack seems to be legitimate, but we can't find the actual endpoint to do the containment. Let's do another search for the IP address. Run a search. And we can see that we only see a Cisco Catalyst server, which doesn't even have the right IP address. So through my first run through, I discovered that there is no endpoint. This endpoint doesn't exist in our inventory pool whatsoever in our environment. But we still want to assume that it exists, so you need to contain it. If it existed in the inventory pool, we would be containing this and delving deeper into the specifics behind that specific endpoint and details. If there were certain commands that were being run on that endpoint, we'd be able to see it if we had that endpoint connection, but we don't, so we cannot contain it. But for this alert, you do want to contain the endpoint. All right, we're going to hit next, and then we're going to now add the artifacts, which would be our requested URL that was being brute forced attacked. And then we can also add the 120.48 SOC246.175 address, which is the threat actor from Beijing, China. Hit next. Now, next play. Do you need Tier 2 escalation? Tier 2 escalation should be performed in the following situations: in cases where the attack succeeds, or when the attacker compromises a device in an internal network, in cases where the direction of harmful traffic is from the inside to the inside. Tier 2 escalation is not required in following cases: in cases where attacks from internet do not succeed. So in our case, we do need to escalate this up to a Tier 2. All right, and I already have my breakdown analyst notes for the investigation, so we'll go ahead and definitely paste that over. Break that up a little bit. All right. On December 12th, 2023 at 2:15 p.m., RSIM fired an alert after multiple post requests were soon seen from the same IP to a fixed URI of accounts/login. This pattern is often indicative of a brute force attack where an attacker tries various username and password combinations to gain unauthorized access. The request came from an IP out of China, 120.48.36.175. The threat actor sent 20 plus requests to our web server test machine. The requested URL was a test front end for the LetsDefend domain for the account and login page. We observed the brute force attack via the logs, confirmed various credentials were being sent to gain access to the endpoint. No other IP addresses were found interacting with the threat actor's address. We shall contain the endpoint and escalate the ticket to a Tier 2 for further remediation. Go ahead and hit next. Finish the playbook. And then when we finish the playbook, we can then close out the alert once we're back in the investigation channel. And then previously, in other alerts, I just copy the same analyst notes in my closed alert. And we can confirm that this event ID of 208 is a true positive. I'll go ahead and close that alert. Boom. Confetti drops. The streak continues. And that's it. So as mentioned before, I've already ran through this investigation, but I thought it'd be insightful just because of that weird issue of not being able to see the endpoint, that I ran through it in a video just in case anybody else investigates the same alert and gets confused. So thank you guys for sticking with me. I'm definitely gonna hop into some more alerts, get some fresh content up. Normally I do not do the same Medium articles and long form video alert content, just to keep it different on both platforms. But this was a special case. So again, thank you guys for sticking with me. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.